Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by... Oh, I've got the wrong slide up. We are joined by Original D-Rose, 10th Man, Refracted Curvature, Righteous Force, Brian's Logic, Arwin joining in the middle of my intro, Chocolate Saiyan, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Good morning, good morning.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yo, yo.
Hello, hello. So in case you hadn't guessed from the title, I don't normally go into the trouble of actually editing the title before we start the video, because typically I don't know what we're going to be covering, and even if I did, it's normally completely alien to me, because it's a new YouTuber and maybe not a new subject, but, you know, it's not fresh, and it's not people I'm familiar with. However, today in the pre-show, I got shared Patrick Gunnels' discussion with MC Toon. And off the back of that, we did cover a little bit of that in the pre-show. So if you're a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, check that out after the uncut and after show gets published in whatever it is, 2 or 3 hours time, whenever this recording and indeed live as we are now show is concluded. So check that out. You can hear some of the preamble to the discussion that we're going to continue in the live show momentarily. So you get to enjoy that live as well. We'll go through Patrick's efforts with Toon. Toon's absolute humiliation at the hands of Patrick. Got to start off by saying you came under a bit of critique, Patrick, from some of the people who had listened at least to some of your discussion or debate, whatever you want to call it, with MC Toon. And I was under the impression that you'd been, you know, quite or too cordial and not giving enough away in terms of the proof of flat Earth. Well, within the first example that's been presented to me, so 10 minutes into the Rumble video that Patrick's published, you're rubbing his face in it, so it doesn't seem to match up with what I've been given as a critique so far before watching it. So you can check that out, as I say, in the pre-show, but we'll do a couple of housekeeping questions just to get us all in the mood. Indeed, you in the live stream audience, share. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No, there is only an angular size. They don't know if it even has an actual size. They don't know what it is. And they've back engineered the size and distance based off that angular size. I could literally do exactly the same thing right now using an angular size calculator. There's no difference. That's literally what they did. Now, they also made a few other presumptions before they did that. But the point is that the overall end of the claim is that they took an angular size that they didn't know of something that they didn't know the actual size of, and they just made it into whatever size and distance they needed to. That's why they can change it at will.
Well, Brian,
they based everything out. Sorry, I should say that was the starting point of their basing of everything else that we see in the sky. It all started with the sun. That's why they got the size of their stars and all the rest of it. Go on, Dan.
Brian, isn't the assumption, though, it's so far away and it's so big that it looks exactly like the moon in the angular size? And so they have to start with an assumption, and then the distance, they would need a scalar for that. So where do they get all that?
Any evidence of the R value? That's Earth radius.
Yes.
No.
Sound is working.
There's no evidence of the R value. There was a back calculation, the back engineering from flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris. The thing that gave us the latitude and longitude grid. They then took the latitude and longitude grid, took two opposing longitude lines and made them meet together, which made a circle. of 21,600 nautical miles, which would be 24,856 statute miles. And that's what the globe is. The back engineering of that.
Wow, 50 people watching already. I like it when the numbers get high quickly. Please share the show. Very warm welcome to all of you who've just joined us, presumably because people have smashed the share button really early. But smash the share button yourself if you've only just got here. And like I say, thank you for joining us. Okie doke. Right, we're going to get straight into this. And I can't actually, because I don't know how, share Patrick's Rumble link. Do I just click on the hyperlink at the top and just put that into the chat? Is that the best way to do it?
We have copy and paste, I would say.
That doesn't let me triple click it. Okay, that's
We'll
weird.
have Righteous do it because Righteous.
That's all right. I'll get
posted
the
it.
link from I'll copy link from Righteous and stick this in the chat. Okay, so this is Patrick Gunnels' Rumble channel. So go and check out the video. Just let him know if there is comments. I don't really understand how Rumble works, but at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, and we're going to cover this video and send him some love. Basically, Patrick's the guy I did a debate with quite some time ago on Earth Chronicles. So you'll be familiar with his face from that. If you aren't, then enjoy Patrick's beautiful face.
Oh, it's that guy.
Yeah, it's Patrick.
So why don't we go things on me, Patrick?
Okay, well,
I should really preface what's going on. So Patrick's just slaughtered Toon, and Toon's now very angry about it because Toon has claimed that he can measure the radius of Earth. And how will he measure it? Well, with Aristophanes' method. So he's going to do it personally with the method. So then Patrick goes and digs out a methodology video, which he plays, that's 2 minutes long, and then asks Toon what the methodology involves. And Toon explained that it involves begging the question that Earth is a sphere in the first instance. Toon is then very annoyed. Patrick reiterates, that's just a begging the question fallacy then. Toon gets more annoyed. And so this is where we're at.
Why don't we go ahead? You found the radius of the Earth using that Eratosthenes method that
Yes.
assumes you live on a sphere.
No, so
Okay, so your method doesn't assume you live on a
my
sphere.
method tested if we lived on a sphere or tested if the Earth was flat. It was an experiment.
Experiment. What was the observed phenomenon that you were trying to figure
I'm
out?
sorry, I'm not in middle school anymore.
Okay, so you don't use.
So was that a non sequitur reply to his question? You said you'd got an experiment. He asked you what the natural phenomena you were studying was. You told him you weren't in middle school. Okay, how is that in any way related? That seems like a non sequitur response. Nobody assumed, Toon, that this was a middle school when you're on YouTube talking to a grown adult. So nobody assumed that. That's a non sequitur response. The question still stands. Let's see if Toon actually addresses it. Let's
Use
see
the
what
scientific method.
I do use a scientific
happens. See that grin? You see, there's a few people out there that seem to think that science doesn't prove things and that you can go about your business pandering to globe-believing idiots like Toon and going along with the idea that science does or doesn't prove things. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter because scientism is all a lie. Meanwhile, all Patrick has done is ask Toon what the natural phenomena he's studying is for his experiment. And you see the look on Patrick's face? Do you see that shiny smile slapped all over it? And that look on Toon's. Yeah, that's the just been slapped in the face by a wet fish look that got a I'm not in middle school as a response. Much to Patrick's delight. That's the power of understanding what science actually is.
method, but that is the dogmatic version. I'm not in middle school, so I'm not a dogmatic
version. So nobody asked you about critiquing what methodology of science was. You were asked for the natural phenomena when you measured your radius value. That's all you were asked for because you said you'd got an experiment. But it's not the dogmatic experiment that you need the emphatic nature to be emphasised when you use the word. But then it's not middle school. Okay, so it's an experiment that's very powerful in terms of its terminology when you want to use it, but when it's down to what it actually means, you're not in middle school anymore, right, Toon? Yeah, that's why Patrick and I are both grinning from ear to ear, because we know the power of what scientific validation offers, and when charlatans try to steal that credibility, yeah? And there's just a few key questions you need to ask to have them absolutely rolled over a barrel. That's what's happening.
Nathan.
Yep,
Yes.
Nathan, maybe McToon is like all disappointed because Patrick isn't acting like Jaren and just giving him everything. And he's like, wait, what? But weren't we supposed to win now?
Well, he just caused
yeah,
McToon to.
that-
I think
Brian
yeah,
first.
he
Hold
just
on,
caused
Chocolate. Sorry,
the
one
blue
sec.
screen.
Sorry, Chocolate. Go ahead, Brian. I had Brian first, then Chocolate.
Then
Yeah, he just caused McToon to tell another lie. McToon said he did an experiment. Patrick Gunnels asked him, what was your observed phenomenon? And he won't address it. It means he didn't do an experiment. He's just telling lies.
Yep.
Very good.
Yeah, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, Chocolate.
Yeah, he wasn't. See, the problem is Batoon was supposed to just be able to say experiment and not be asked about it. He just wanted to say, "Yeah, I did an experiment." So Patrick destroyed him just by asking, "What was your phenomenon? What was your observed phenomenon?" And he fell apart completely. Like this is great.
yeah,
Follower
my
of-
my point.
Money.
Hang on.
Mm.
What's that?
Okay.
Sorry.
Hold
I
on.
was-
10th then Eli. Go ahead.
So notice Toon saying it's dogmatic version. Well, I'm looking up definition of dogmatic. Dogmatic definition, relating to or of the nature of a dogma or dogmas or any strong set of principles concerning faith. Is that the way scientific method is at all?
No, it's empirical, but in nature.
So you see what Toon did was it says, oh no, that thing in the middle school, I can't have that destroy me. So I'm going to do this word game and call it dogmatic. But he didn't accomplish anything because what is it now then? If that was dogmatic then, which doesn't even apply to it, what is it now?
Eli, go ahead.
Yeah, that was a very good point, Chen. I experienced this yesterday. Just trying to have a conversation with a Glober who basically said he had a phenomena, and I said, "Is it a natural phenomena?" And it wasn't a natural phenomena. It was something happening in some sort of setup. And I said, "But hey, isn't that a logical fallacy?" And he called me an idiot and said that he wouldn't speak to me. So there's a pattern going on with anyone who tries to actually have a conversation and hold them to task when it comes to them saying that they have science, but then obviously they don't want you to get to the point where you're saying, isn't that pseudoscience though, pretending that you're following a method or a certain epistemology, but you're really not?
Yes,
They don't
it
want to
is.
get.
Okay, why is this happening? Excellent point, all of you. You're all fantastic. Why is this happening? Why, in the first instance, would Toon say the word experiment? Well, it's because from a very early age, we were all taught the empirical methodology that science has to offer, aka the scientific method. Now, the scientific method is empirical because it's hypothesis-based. Now, hypotheses are also known as scientific predictions, but it predicts the cause of an effect. Now, it doesn't validate it, it's just on paper as the prediction yet to be validated. That's a hypothesis. What's an experiment? Well, it is the actualization of the hypothesis. It is putting it into practical application. So if you say A causes B in your hypothesis, then the experiment is varying A and seeing if it does cause B. That's the experiment. Well, B is the phenomena. And all Patrick's done is said, what's B? What are you studying? And he's gone, this isn't 5th grade. Yeah, I'm not in middle school anymore. Excuse me, if you're doing an experiment, then you're studying the cause of an effect in nature, because that's what science is. The reason Toon's doing it is because when he says experiment, he simply means something he has done. Doesn't mean cause and effect reasoning based on a valid hypothesis. It just means he's going to do something. But he wants the thing he's done to have a lot more credence than it's valid to have. It's not empirical. Whatever comes out of Toon's mouth after saying the word experiment will not be an empirically validated outcome for you to simply glance over and go, I understand that A causes B, because you validated it by varying A to see if it caused what Patrick asked for, a phenomena to be studied in nature. He hasn't got one, but he wants the credence and validity that the empirical method of science offers. That's why he said it. He wouldn't be saying it if he didn't have any power invoked from saying it. It does, that's what he's using, and it crumbles in an instant when you ask him for actual science to go with their stolen valour use of the word experiment. That's all he did. Watch your phenomena. Now, bearing in mind that we have been called fucking scammers for pointing this out to an audience by Jaren, the abject wanker who hasn't got a slightest idea what science is, and the rest of his cohort of tossers who also don't know what science is. They've got the gall to tell us that we are scammers for pointing out that science proves things. It does. That's the only reason that Toon's using the word experiment. Now, when it gets to the point of somebody unlike Jaren, who asks him for a naturally observed phenomena to go along with his stolen valour use of the word experiment, the guy asking's got a massive smirk on his face. Because he's won. Because he knows what science is. Toon, on the other hand, has got one hand on his hip and he's fuming. Because he's been caught out in his bullshit. He hasn't got any experiments. But Patrick knows what that is. That's why he's winning. That's why he's getting the concessions out of his opponent. Because he knows what science is. Yeah? So my fury and anger over this is because Jaren recently did a similar thing with Toon. And Jaren got absolutely rolled over by Toon. With Toon smirking just like Patrick is. Why? Simply because Jaren didn't know what science is. The same bloody thing he's telling an audience I'm a scammer for disseminating it to my audience. It's a bloody outrage. It's very upsetting. Yeah? Now, in the past, I sway between wanting to educate Jaren and wanting him back on our side because he's so influential. Influential in the negative when he tells people I'm a scammer for something that literally is winning the argument for Patrick with the exact same opponent and the exact same arguments. Who's winning this time? Yeah, Patrick is. Who's got his hand on his hip fuming? Toon. Last time around, it wasn't that way round. Toon was delighted when he starts telling him about experiments, Jaren that is, and about the science he's got. Now, to my also outrage, Jaren didn't turn around to Toon and tell him science doesn't prove anything, the very basis of me being called a scammer. He just sat and took it. Yeah, and lost for his ignorance. Now, here we are with a different scenario. A man who does understand what science and the scientific method is, and how this scammer, the real scammers out there like Toon, lie about having experiments. You've only got to ask a couple of key questions knowing what the subject matter is to get this person, like he is, hand on hip fuming.
Some rules of
stuttering bitch. Yeah, that's what Patrick's got you to do, you stuttering, stammering, lying scammer.
Toon's in a category error, just before you go on, because QE would make this point if he was here.
Go ahead.
Toon is said experiment for something that is supposed to be a measurement. That's a what is, not a cause and effect.
Exactly. He's talking about measuring things. If you've got a practical application of something that you can quantify with a ruler next to it, then fine. We'll have a look at it. But he's called it an experiment because he's in a category error. Exactly correct. Shout out to Retro Bill. Nathan, we need to determine the cause of an effect. Quick, take an action. I'm sure that makes contextual sense, but I don't follow. I'm really sorry, Retro Bill. Thank you for the super chat, though. I'm sure it'll make sense when I listen back.
The guy from the other day with his addition to the scientific method with take action. That's what he's talking about.
Oh, the guy yesterday. Right, he's strapped on after formulating a hypothesis. He was sort of half right, as Tenth put it. He's like 1 foot in the flat Earth door and also 1 foot in the understanding of science door. When he formulates, he just makes an observation. Then he formulates a hypothesis. Then he does his experiment. Then he gets to his theory. Then he takes action. Now, on the surface, you're like, well, fine. But in these lists of things that he takes action on, it's back to the experiment stage. Back giving it to other scientists to validate the result when he's already gone through the process of making a theory at that stage. But he just was incomplete in his definition yesterday. So although he did a pretty good job for the most part, He peppered it with other stuff that would allow the door to be opened for pseudoscience claims that have no validity, but also peppered it with a sort of ending that matched the pseudoscience ending, where there's no practical application to your scientific validity that you claim to have got when you start describing black holes or stuff out in space. Well, there's nothing that comes from that. You don't get any useful technology off the back of it. So in his mind, it's like, well, because there's nothing coming out of the back of astronomy, for instance, we'll just pass it back to the experimental stage where they have another look at the star, make the observation again, do the quote-unquote experiment again. You're like, no, you've already formed a theory. And that would be off the back of experimental data that validated the cause of an effect and invalidated the null. You drew a line through the null because A wasn't not causing it, so cross, and it did actually cause it. So therefore, you pass it on to the next man to do the same experiment to make sure the setup itself isn't invalid. And when you get the same result, you do it over and over again. That's the systematic experimentation stage as we detail it. So yes, thank you for the super chat. That does make contextual sense now that I've got someone with a slightly better short-term memory than mine. At least mine's 24 hours as opposed to 3 minutes. Please be sure to check out the pre-show to get a context of Toon's 3-minute memory, forgetting the very precise and specific claim he made that was overtly stated by him, only to be denied 3 minutes later when it was pointed out that it was a begging the question fallacy by Patrick, who then smiled with delight as Toon got, again, very angry. Thanks, Chocolate, by the way. And thanks for the super chat.
Yep.
Like they're given down from high on high. No, sorry, that it isn't. Here's the cookie cutter approach to it. If you want to know how scientists do their work, you might.
Scientists do their work by establishing what they want to study in the first instance. Step one, observe natural phenomena. That's what Patrick asked you for. Well, are you going to tell him that you're not going to do the cookie cutter method? Well, the cookie cutter method is what an experiment would include. It's a method, the scientific method. But you don't like it now that the experiment you claimed has been proved to be a lie. Oh, here we go again. Check out that big smile on Patrick's face. And check out the annoyed look on Toon's.
Read something by Thomas
That's
Kuhn.
the
You might read Karl Popper. I highly recommend reading Understanding Science for free on Berkeley. Berkeley's website has a.
Nobody wants your recommendations on science books when you've been asked for a natural phenomena, Toon. Yeah, this seems like scattergunning. Seems like chaff and redirect. Yeah? No, just give us the phenomena you studied for your experiment, you claimed, you little bullshitter.
Really good thing on that. And they specifically
slippery red herring.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, he's red herring. He's after using the word experiment, being caught out on that. Now he's using that as a red herring away from this supposed measurement of the radius.
Yep.
He's claiming that.
Precisely. It's a red herring fallacy. What we're waiting for is radius measurement. You said Eratosthenes, then you denied it, you lying shit. Now we're on to you saying you've got your method. Okie dokie. So, Toon, you've been asked a question. What's the phenomena for your experiment when you measure radius, even though you're in a category error? Okay. What's that? You've got some great recommendations on books that tell you about science? Nobody asked you for that, Toon. That's why Patrick's smiling at you, because he's winning.
Cite that the cookie cutter approach that you're trying to go through is too simple.
Well, why did you say you got an experiment then? Because the method is simple. Narrow. Yeah? Very narrow. Which excludes a lot of bullshit from it. Yeah? Because you get an empirical outcome, it means it's going to be narrow. Cookie cutter. Specific. It's called the scientific method. You said you got an experiment. You haven't. You're just a liar. But now it's too cookie cutter. Oh, I see. Just don't bullshit about having experiments next time then. And you won't get this man smirking at you.
That's not how science is done.
Well, why did you say you got an experiment then? You're just a bullshitter.
All right.
So, the essence of science.
Okay. Tell me about.
And now we're going to get a lesson on what the essence of science is when he's simply been asked to give his natural phenomena for his measurement of radius. How long's this going to take, Toon?
Essence.
How long's this do-si-do non sequitur going to take? Go ahead.
I just want to add, it must really suck when the thing that they used to use as their greatest weapon, right? Just science, Glober. I mean, science, you stupid flirt. That's what proves we live on a globe. Was their greatest weapon. And now it's like you're completely on the back foot just by saying that word. It's ridiculous and hilarious.
Yes, that's my outrage towards being called a scammer over this. That's why. Yeah? Now, maybe over time, people have started to
Definitely.
recognise what an outrage that actually is when you see someone like Patrick, in other words, not me, doing this and winning with it. And then you know that, what are you going to do, Jaren? Are you going to tell Patrick, now that he's got this massive smirk slapped all over his Chevy Chase, and Toon's got a massive frown and an annoyed look and his hand on his hip, are you going to turn around to Patrick and call him a scammer? Because the only reason he's asking for a dependent variable, that's naturally observed phenomena, is because he understands the empirical method of science that you called me a scammer for. So what are you going to do? He's winning this argument against Toon where you lost. Are you now going to turn around and tell your audience that Patrick's a science scammer like you told them I was? You know, I'm going to start demanding a fucking retraction from Jaren, the absolute arsehole. Jaren, you better start making a retraction, you piece of shit scum. Yeah, science proves things. We, who aren't ignorant, know that. You, who are ignorant, have declared me a scammer for educating an audience, including this man, Patrick Gunnels, on how science proves things, to his victory with Toon right now. Yeah? You have called me a scammer to an audience. I want a goddamn retraction from you, Jaren, you piece of shit. Then we can move forward, friends. And we can educate your dumbass on what science is and how you, like Patrick, could have but didn't win against Toon. With my help, you'll be able to win, Jaren. But first, you've got to get a retraction on record for an audience where you, on bended knee, apologise for your own ignorance about what science actually is. Your ignorance has led you to tell an audience that I'm scamming people with the information Patrick's winning with, and it's an outrage. I demand a retraction from you, Jaren. When I get one, all's good. We'll be friends again, and we'll move forward winning together. We will progress the community that everybody begs both of us to improve upon, to grow. Now, I'm putting out an olive branch to Jaren. I'm putting out an olive branch and saying forgiveness will be forthcoming for your scummy, disgusting behaviour when you make your retraction video and declare your own ignorance in regards to the methodology of science that Patrick's winning this debate where you lost. Okay? Once you've got that, I will take you by the hand and educate you on what science is so you, next time you face Toon, can also win like Patrick is. That's my olive branch. Retraction, make it clear that your ignorance led you to declare me a scammer and retract that nonsense because it isn't true. And then we can move forward educating you on what science is. So you can stop making these ignorant assertions that science and scientism doesn't prove things, which is incorrect. It's the only reason Toon claimed experiment, and it's the only reason that Patrick's smiling, simply asking him for a phenomena that he hasn't got. So we're all going to move forward in Flat Earth. We are going to grow this quote-unquote community that I despise because I haven't been strong and firm enough when it comes to things like this. Demanding retractions from people who are wrong, regardless of their size. Yeah, I'm not going to pander to Jaren anymore. Just from this point forth, if his name ever comes up, I'm waiting for a retraction from Jaren so we together can grow the community, can give this information to a wider audience so that our numbers go up rather than down, rather than Jaren telling people to unsubscribe from good flat earthers like me. He can help grow the community rather than destroy it. Because that's what he's done to me, like Bob did in the past. Now he can right that wrong by taking hold of the olive branch I've extended out to him, grabbing hold of it with both hands, making his retraction, declaring his own ignorance of science, Jeranism, Jaren, Campanella, and then we can grow this community together because we can educate an audience that's wider than mine on how Patrick won this debate with science and an understanding thereof, with fallacy understanding, things of that nature, things that are sorely lacking from the biggest people in this community.
About your experiment.
Go on. Whoever that was.
What was I think?
I think that was well said.
No, I didn't say anything. I was just giving my little claps in the background. That was eloquently well said. I love that. That's fact.
I want what I want. I want to grow the community. People beg me for it, and I appeal to me not being able to do it. Well, I can. Just got to be strong. If people are wrong, Jaren's wrong. Now, I'm not going to take it personally. What I will do is appeal to him for a better outcome in situations like this one with McToon. And if he can have that outcome, it will rub off on his audience. There's no point in appealing to how well the discussion's gone and how civil it is. Did you win or didn't you? Because that's what people want. People appeal to me all day long about growing this community. How are we going to get it out to a wider audience? Okay. Well, internally, we need to unite. We need to all sing from the same hymn sheet like the Globers do. Even when they're wrong, they still tap each other on the back. Well, when we're right, at the very least, we should be tapping each other on the back. And currently, we're calling each other scammers. That needs to stop if we're going to grow the information, if we're going to grow the amount of people who come to us. That needs to stop now. Shout out to Fibre Oats for
Who
the super chat.
cares?
Hold on, let me just shout out the super chat, Neil, then your objection can be heard. Shout out to Fibre Oats. He says it's not working to be strong. It's not wrong. Sorry. Sorry. Not wrong to be strong. Thank you for the sentiment. Really appreciate it. Go ahead, Neil.
I told you it's not worth the time or effort. Leave them alone and let's do what we do here. Forget about educating them. They don't want it.
Don't care. I've got a gut instinct, right? As much as I can moan about the behaviour of Dave Weiss when he's telling people he don't watch me, right? And hanging around people who are calling me scammers and not decrying it. Okay, I could focus on that. I don't want to. Deep down, I think Dave's a bloody good guy. It annoys me and upsets me. These are things I lose sleep over. The loss of a friendship with Jaron and Dave and Bob more than anybody. Yeah, that was upsetting. Deeply upsetting. Right? Well, why can't I air these things? Why can't I show a little bit of my heart on my sleeves occasionally? Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit sweaty and a little bit clammy. You can probably hear my tension in my voice. But these are things that I've shied away from. Okay, you as an audience appeal to me to grow this to more people. Okay, I know a man who can do that. He's called Jaron. He's got a massive audience. He's on my side. Unfortunately, he's calling me a scammer for the best possible information that we are currently as an audience watching win. Now, maybe my audience can appeal to Jaron. There's an olive branch out there for you where you can do better and you can help us as an audience do better. You can help us grow the community. Together, we can be bigger. Together, more people can bang the same drum of Flat Earth and win every discussion they have. But we need some unity. So, yeah, as tough as it is for me to say, as easy as it is to shy away from, I'm sick of it. Now that I'm not focused on this stupid computer, I haven't given it a thought for the whole show. Stupid computer, it's working, it's brilliant. Thank you, Paul. Really appreciate it now it's working, because I haven't thought about it. But I am thinking about this community. It's taken 3 days, and my focus is back. Right? 3 days of not pissing around with the computer, and I'm thinking, how can I grow this community that I love? Well, I know somebody's big in the community. I know several people. Dave's big. Jaron's big. Bob was big. He's dead now. Well, he's no use to me. That's really unfortunate. Because that would be another big name I could have appealed to if he wasn't dead.
Well, Nathan, if you have a direct line, now, this is not what I would normally say in this situation concerning these people, but if you have a direct line to Jaron, a way of emailing him, or an email he would read, then you could just put it forward to him. Show him what Patrick did. Just a clip from it. Listen, from this point to this point. This is the thing that you claimed I was a scammer for. This is not scamming. This is showing up the opposition.
I speak to Jaron. Right, number one, I've got his number. I'll just speak to Jaron if I wanted to, and I have. When Bob died, we had a chat. We remain civil. We don't argue with each other on the phone. Occasionally, we'll have the usual. Jaron's got a habit of having raucous text back and forth, and I've done that with Jaron. So's everybody. That's just Jaron. It's one of those things that you accept about somebody, and you don't necessarily say that makes him a bad person just because he loses his temper over text messages. But I've got multiple direct communication lines with Jaron, some of which, like when Bob died, were opened in that instance by him. So it's not like I don't have a communication line. We are at loggerheads in respect to this science thing. Now, there's been, up until now, very few things that aren't me doing it, or you, Brian, doing it, or QE doing it, that I can example. Now, as much as everybody knows Patrick's a friend of the show, he's a channel member, he's not us, is he? He's not in day in, day out. He's not one of the... If you said Patrick Gunnels, no one's going to say, oh yeah, one of the Flat Earth debate crew. He isn't, which is good. I'll just do the shout out. I'm with Neil, says Michael Kahn. I loving your videos, by the way, Michael. Can one of the moderators put Michael Kahn's channel into the chat? Because I watch his videos every time they come out and I really enjoy them. So please subscribe to Michael Kahn. I'm sure he wasn't expecting a plug off the back of that super chat, but yeah, he's definitely worth subscribing to. And he's making more. He did a video in a mask about Toon today, and it had me chuckling. So I don't know what better endorsement I can give if someone makes me laugh and I watch their videos pretty much daily if they're producing them. So I've completely lost track.
Yeah, Michael Kahn is ace. Nathan, you reached out before. You reached out to Bob. Stop like you haven't reached out. You have reached out. They rejected you.
Doesn't matter.
No,
Get 'em.
Doesn't
wait
matter.
one second.
Does
This
it
time
matter?
is slightly
Does it
different.
matter?
This time
I'm a
is slightly
salesman, but tenth, back me up. If you've got that client that you know needs your product, but they keep refusing, they keep rejecting you, they keep buying the crap product instead, do you stop? Tenth.
We're not talking about products here.
Yeah, we are.
All right? We're
Yeah, we
talking
are.
about the nature of
Yes,
reality,
we
Nathan.
are. It's a
Mm.
the scientific methods are products.
Don't make those kind of parallels.
Why not?
They don't need your
Other
product.
people
They
get
don't need your
triggered.
product, Nathan. The piece of nonsense is profitable enough.
Well, what I would say, Nathan, right, to back up you, because I know everyone
Before you
here,
do,
I know-
though,
I would
I'm
normally
really sorry,
be
Brian.
leading that
Before you
charge.
do, please hold that thought, John. I do, and we will come back to that. For now, Patrick's video. Patrick, I already know you did a wonderful job. If we don't cover the rest of this video, I'm so sorry. I'm going to say straight away, I've put the link in. I'm going to spam it again so people can go and check you out. Wonderful job. You've done a great job. And I know I will watch the rest of it. But just in case this discussion, it's because your content's so good, which means we should play more, that we're discussing this in the way that we are. It's developed a great conversation for whatever reason, Patrick. So kudos to you, my friend. I know the rest of it's epic before even watching it, and hopefully people will go and check you out and rumble. Okay, Brian,
Also,
make your.
Yeah,
I know
okay.
you're in the wings. I know Eli. You will get to go after Brian, but then there's a major subject point that we're going to go on to. So go ahead, Brian, then Eli, then back to John.
Yeah, normally I would be leading the charge against against who I would consider our opposition, which is Jaron and those. But here you have an example of Patrick Gunnels, who is not on the FED panel, but he listens in and he learns, he communicates with you. And here he is showing someone outside of FED, showing how he's calmly, at least in this portion of the debate, calmly taking Toon apart. And if you can show that to Jaron and say, you can't call me a scammer for this. If you can do that and then publicly show, you don't have to show Jaron's response, just publicly show what you did. That's all you can do. And that is, after that, it's up to them. Because you're showing how Patrick is doing what Jaron didn't do, because Jaron decided that information was no good.
Not only no good, that I was a scammer for disseminating it. And that's the objection. And like you say, that's what I am doing in this show. I'm saying, here's the example of somebody winning with this information. I've been called a scammer by Jaron for it. I want a retraction, because then we can move forward. There's too much of a bitter taste left in my mouth over it. And if Jaron makes a retraction, it shows, number one, I would expect all of his audience to notch him up once in their estimation for the humility level alone. Now, I'm not suggesting that he does that just to gain props and kudos from his audience for his humility. I'm saying the reason I want you to do it is a gesture that shows an understanding that a wrong has been committed by him. And once that's been, even if it's a small, in a live stream, okay, I do retract that he was a scammer for saying that. Moving on, we're going to look at my kid's fun day today. Whatever. A token gesture to say, no, I acknowledge that I've wronged you, because he has. Then we can move forward and grow the community with information that wins debates. So this is my doing that, Brian. Okay, Eli, then John.
yeah, forget. I don't want to say the thing I was gonna say. But you still have an open line of communication to Jaron, and so there's always a possibility where you can get in there with the proper angle to elevate. No pun intended. But I just think that if he is willing to have a 6-hour conversation with Toon, why can't you guys have a conversation for an hour? Where it's exposed. If he says I don't agree with the scientific method, have him detail why, if he can, right?
No.
Like, what exactly does he disagree with?
understand what you're
Does
saying, and if this
anybody
was a
really
That's
know?
a great question,
Yeah.
Eli.
No.
Why won't he have a 1 hour conversation with you, but he could sit for 6 hours with McToon? It's going a lot deeper than what
this
you
isn't a
think.
reasonable comparison.
Try and play
It's not a
patty
reasonable
cake all you
comparison.
want.
Hello, this is not a reasonable comparison. Who cares? No, I don't expect anything of the sort from Jaren. No, I'm not his boss. No, I'm not going to put any.
Patty cake, bake a cake. Come on now.
No.
What are they going to do, Nathan? Shoot you in the back now?
No, what
No,
I
but
demand
no.
is not that. I'm just trying to explain to Eli. Thank you, Neil. No, Eli. No, I'm not. It's beyond that, is what I'm trying to say. Before Neil keeps piping up, it's beyond that. I'm demanding a retraction. No, I'm not going to spend my time educating Jaren at this stage, as much as I want to, and that is what is required to grow our community. That's a fact. I know what's needed. Yeah. Now, seeming impossible because, well, I've tried and it was much to my detriment on Globebusters. Well, yeah. Sometimes you go into the dealer that's selling your opponent's product and they're doing really well with it, and as a consequence of them seeing your proactive nature trying to get in there, your opponent does the dirty on you and starts bad-mouthing you. Yeah, that'll happen. Sometimes you've got to wade through quite a lot of crap to come out clean on the other side. Yeah, but eventually you do. I've done it as a salesman. Now, this to me just requires my tenacious nature as a salesman. I've got a product to sell. It's the scientific method. The other products I've got are great too. But I've got one product and one customer who just does not want to buy it. And as a result, wants to, like in my example, do the dirty and say that I'm not a good person because I'm trying to sell him something. I am trying to sell this to Jaren for the benefit of our community. So now I've put it into a context that has consequences that are wider reaching beyond me. Now, some might turn around and say, that's a bit scummy. No, it's not. I'm being appealed to grow the community. That's what's happening. You want to know how I can do that? You all like what's on the show? I've got to get that through the means I have to the wider audience. There's only so much e-begging, asking for shares that you can do, right? At some point, you've got to say, no, there is multiple different means that I can appeal to here. Now, one of them has got a roadblock in the way. I'm going to smash through it. Smash through it by going, we need Jaren to do this. Us as a community need him to do this. Yeah? Now, I'm not suggesting you put pressure on him to do it. I'm just telling you what the situation is. Now, me saying we can move forward when I get a retraction is because that's what's needed to mend some bridges that Jaren has burnt. I can only dangle the olive bridge over the burnt bridge because I can't physically build the bridge for Jaren, which is what Eli's asking me to do.
Don't hold your breath, and I'm glad he's not.
I mean,
The
I think
thing
it.
is,
I think it's
Jaren's-
well. I understand. I understand. Last reply. Sorry,
Let
John.
Eli wrap up then, John.
just-
And then I do want to hear from Adam as well. But go ahead, Eli. You wrap up then, John. Hello, Adam.
Well, I want this for two reasons. One, I guess, would be for you to selfishly bypass him calling you a scammer. I get that. But two, really, my main motive is to get others to understand that what he's rejecting is not what you're particularly putting on the table, which is a method. He's not really like when you lay all of the cards on the table and you're like, okay, this is what the scientific method is. What are you rejecting exactly? This is what I want exposed, and for the greater good of everybody's audience. Because what Jaren will say he's rejecting is something we're not supporting, which is pseudoscience, funny enough. But then he'll use pseudoscience in the same breath. And this is what I want people to really understand, because for some it seems really confusing. But that's all I want to say.
And right there's the conundrum, because that same pseudoscience that he's using is what this is all about. And that's the ether. The ether is what they're selling, not flat earth. Jaren is not a flat earther. He's an Ethereum.
Thank you.
He doesn't care about flat earth. I mean, McToon showed him how flat it was. He didn't say a word about it. He's more concerned with calling us scammers.
I think
Right on
after
point,
Adam
John.
speaks, I think after Adam speaks that we should go back to the video and maybe speak about this later, because we'll end up just arguing about this on the live show.
Yeah, you're right. But we will hear from Adam.
I like to pipe in too after Adam.
Adam might have anything to say as soon as she's got here. But yeah.
Oh, you want me to go?
No, I'm just saying Adam may not have anything to say. I assumed because he joined that he had something to say,
Okay.
but I don't know that for certain. He hasn't piped up yet.
All right, well, I'll go until he pipes up.
He's not even in here anymore.
In that case, I'll go.
Hey,
Yeah, Ted.
real quick, I want to say, I was listening because I was screening patient, but what Neil is saying and what I'm saying in some kind of way, even though that was eloquent what you said as far as together and everything, just watch out for the dagger. Make sure you're wearing a hazmat suit because the poison is still out there, and you got to understand what the true intent of people like Jaron and Dell are. It's you know what I'm saying, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. So although I do understand where you're coming from, Nathan, because at the end of the day, we're better united to fight against this farce propagated narrative of Colbert. However, you still got to tread carefully dealing with these others who claim to be on your side, because they're like Judas. You know what I'm saying? You know, they'll smile in your face and they'll cut you down for their own self-amelioration. You got to be careful. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but we can't define their motivations. Now, we just need to, as it says, and I'm not a Christian, but as it says in the Bible, you know them by their fruits. Some people are just wrong. I think Dale is just wrong. Right? Now, we don't know Dale enough, but I think he's just wrong. Jaron, I don't know what's going on with him. Right? But he just happens to be wrong. Well, I don't have any trust in Jaron whatsoever. But that's why I asked you to do what you said, Nathan, or what I said to you, to make that communication and show publicly that you made that communication. Hang on, Neil. Hang on.
I never thought I'd hear you talk like this. I'm sorry.
Neil, do you want to relax, man?
Yet. You don't know what I'm saying. Maybe shut up and listen. Put out the communication to show that you did what you did. Put it out there to show publicly you're after putting out this olive branch. And if he doesn't accept at that point, he's never ever going to accept. Then you know. Now, I think he will never accept, because I think he had some other agenda that is outside of whatever you want, Nathan. Jaron doesn't care, because that's not what he wants. That would be my opinion on it. From
I've
his
never
fruit.
told you to shut up one time, Brian. You disrespected me. But that's okay.
I don't care.
All I'm saying is,
what do you want me to say to you? What do you want me to say to you?
While they row it out amongst themselves, we'll just get on with this video a little bit.
Mike. So I'll tell you, because you're confused about the essence of science. The essence of science is to test something that's falsifiable. That's the essence. That's right at the core of it, right? So you have a hypothesis. You compute the consequences of that hypothesis, and
sorry, you don't compute the consequences of a hypothesis. You vary your independent variable to see if it causes the phenomena you're studying. And so far, this little amble is in lieu of a phenomena that you were asked for by Patrick. I'm just going to keep reiterating why we're getting this now 3-minute long amble.
And then you compare two observations or compare to reality. That's it. So it's not like, oh, let's start at the top and see if we can go through. Okay, so that's not what I did. So the natural...
So the summary, he doesn't have an experiment. It's not what he did. He didn't have an experiment, so he can't give the natural phenomena. He used the word to steal the valor, but he doesn't have one. There's the conclusion. Thank you, Toon. Nice that I can summarise it. That's why Patrick's smirking. He knows you haven't got an experiment, you lying sod. Neil, you're determined to talk through every single sentence of everybody. That's why you got told off by Neil. But go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm on the street, so I'll just go on mute. Just send out invitations, Nathan. Have a big party.
No,
you missed the point of what I was trying to say,
Neil. Hold on, Brian. Neil, verbalise your objection. Your voice is valued. We want your objection. Just make it concise. Saying send out invitations. Okay, I will. I'll make them really nice and printed
I'll make it
beautifully.
As concise
what are you
as
talking
I can
about?
Make it. Nathan, they don't want to be bothered. They're not flat earthers. John laid it out perfectly. They're Etherites. They want nothing to do with the truth. The hell with them.
Okay. So, back when I was a sales rep and I used to sell cord, and the dealers that exclusively sold name did not want to know about Cord. They didn't want to know the truth of how good the product was because they sold a lot of name. And if I made it my business to get in their business, their name would be very annoyed about it. Yeah? And they'd even badmouth me. Right. Do you understand the principle? Because he's got something else.
I understand what you're saying, Nathan.
Thank
but
you,
you're
Neil. Thank
talking
you.
about
Thank you,
two
Neil. Thank
different
you.
things,
Thank you. Still in the middle of the same
Neil,
sentence. Thank you.
stop
Thank you, Neil. Thank you. The point being... Oh, God, now. I'm going to give up on this point soon. The point being that sometimes your customer can be aggressively against what you have to offer them. That doesn't mean you give up. Sometimes it means you just have to try a different angle. Now, sometimes you have to try many different angles. But ultimately speaking, if there's a customer out there that's going to benefit you and them by them taking on your product, then you have to, if you're a salesman, schedule times to reinitiate that point of contact. Make the effort again. Touch base. Make sure they're just keeping familiar with your name and your concept, or your product in that instance. Right? Well, while we might not be successful on this occasion, we've tried many times, all of them quite subtle, to appeal to Jaren and those guys, if you want to keep it more broad, the Etherites, let's call them, to understand the methodology of science. Now, could it be that some of that will lay waste to some of their current claims? Maybe. Doesn't change the overall benefit that our product, in this instance, scientific method, has to offer all. It's benefited humanity for long enough. I'm pretty sure it will benefit Jaren. So no worries. I know I've got a good product to sell. And I'm determined. I'm very tenacious. I can reignite that part of my mentality from being a salesman. I can very easily reignite it for the greater good of the community, to grow flat earth in the mind's eye of the general populace, through Jaren, or whatever means is required. Shout out to Fibre Ropes. Is an Etherite like a Hutterite? What's a Hutterite?
I don't know.
I'm going to go with yes. Yes, definitely. Absolutely. But they're basically the same thing. Why not? I have no idea.
Can I address Neil?
I don't know, but am I still in the wings?
I thought you'd gone.
Well, why would I go? Everyone jumped in, and I thought it was...
Fly, birdie, fly.
It is, but can your example not include photocopiers? Thank you.
Don't worry. Just the approximate facsimile of one. Will that be okay?
That'll be fine.
Sorry, Nathan.
Just try and toner it down a bit, okay?
All right. Very nice. Very nice. All right. I'll scan the subject real quick here. So when it's a salesman who wants to show his friends a product, he has no problem getting the appointment. When it's a salesman who is going to contact a complete stranger, a business owner that could benefit from this product, he doesn't have the luxury of the long-time friendship to count on. So first attempt, second attempt, third attempt, it all fails, but you know you could help that guy. So you keep trying. You make all possible means to just get a 5-10 minute presentation. And I've done this before where I was denied many times. And I said, look, if I can keep it under 5 minutes and I can show you how to save hundreds, if not thousands, that'd be worth your time, wouldn't it? Finally, with some, not all, they would agree. And I got some of my best customers that way. However, in this case, if that customer hated my guts, called me a scammer, I probably would never get that 5 minute time. Now, on the other end, if I said, look, why don't we just meet up? Let me show you how we can work together better so that you can retract what you're saying. And if he denies that, well, at least I made the attempt, is what I hear you saying.
I mean, I'm more than willing to get our elevator pitches in line from all of you right now. As much as Brian wants to just get back onto Patrick Gunnels' video, as do I. It was a great video.
I'd like to address Neil. Right? Because Neil completely because Neil completely misunderstood what I was doing there. because Neil jumped in with his emotion instead of using his head. My position has never changed for a long time concerning Jaron. I do not trust him. I do not like him. I have no interest in him. And I don't think he has any interest in doing the right thing. Right? But Nathan wants to extend an olive branch. And I know Nathan does. So I'm giving Nathan a suggestion of what I feel would be the best way to do it and show it publicly that he's done it. After that, it's purely in Jaron's court. And it can only make Jaron look better. Jaron can either end up looking better or worse. Now I reckon he'll end up looking worse. Right? But I can't stop Nathan from wanting to do that. Nathan has a good... Nathan, I'm sorry, I feel you're naive, but I'll help you along if it means that I'm giving you help. Because I'm always on your show, you're my friend.
It's not the first time I've been accused of it, Brian, and I understand why.
Yeah.
I'm generally a very focus on the positive, glass half full kind of guy. So generally, I want to see the good in people. I want to see a positive outcome. Visualizing that positive outcome is generally how I like to visualize going through life. I kind of had that disappear for the last 10 months with this computer, I'll be honest. But other than that, right, that is generally how I approach things. Now, on the whole, it sets you up for disappointment. But once you've appreciated the positivity of an outcome that you do pull off, the successful outcomes, that's why I appealed to 10th. And he gave me a great, reasonable example on when you've achieved that with the customer. When the customer badmouths you, and as soon as you were saying, well, if that person's calling me a scammer, I remember a different manufacturer, one that I also owned product from, didn't work for him, but Musical Fidelity, Jewish guy, that constantly got called a scammer all the time. Did it mean he was unsuccessful? Did it mean he couldn't go out to clients and win them over and get them to buy his products? Absolutely not. He did a really good job of it. Anthony Michelson, his name was. Really, really good guy. But I'm sure that there's certain things he's done in business that maybe some people wouldn't approve of. He's just a guy. But the competition, who he was undercutting left, right, and centre, wanted to give out the impression he was a scammer. Therefore, dealers who he had to go into might be telling their customers who wanted Musical Fidelity, and if they didn't have it, that why would you? It's a scam. It's a rubbish product. Well, he had to go in and appeal to those customers, and he won them over time and time again. Right? Well, that's this scenario. You don't become successful by just going, yeah, I've been rejected. Yeah. Or, no, I've just got no faith that person would ever even pay the bills if I was to sell him a product. You can't take that attitude. Yes, you've got to go by... You can't waste your time. If you're constantly banging your head against a brick wall, eventually you've got to draw a line under it. Or you slowly, incrementally schedule that recall less and less and less. That's more likely what you should do as a salesperson. Well, at the moment, now I've got the time to do it, it's one of those that, no, this is one of our best lines to a bigger audience for a sympathetic ear. Now, bearing in mind that if you look at it from this point of view, right, the standard is that, let's say that we can't change Jaron's mind. He's convinced, let's make this open rather than against me, that we, collectively, are scammers as opposed to just me, right? If we can't reconvince him that that's not the case, that doesn't necessarily mean he's not open to having discussions with this, does it? He's had Toon in front of him, for God's sake. So he's more than open to have people who he fundamentally disagrees with to discuss points with. So even if he is fundamentally diametrically opposed to what we disseminate in regards to science, and we cannot change that, doesn't mean we're not going to get the door opened, does it? Does it mean we might encounter abuse from the customer? Yeah, we might. But doesn't mean the door's closed. And that door is a very important door to keep open.
Neil, let him finish.
They are deliberately trying to uproot everything that's been planted here. If you're too blind to see that, I am out of here.
No, Neil, you don't need to do that. But would you call someone who's trying to sell Apple computers to Bill Gates an intellectual person?
No, I'd call him an idiot.
All right, since we've stopped, I got a minor point before you close out. We have a crusader out in chat. I don't know if she's still out there. Amy S. Amy S says, there's no proof in science. It's only in math and liquor. This is really basic stuff. Amy S., why don't you come on in here and educate us?
On number one, I had Chocolate's Chuckle, which would have been my chuckle if I hadn't have been on mute. Right, liquor, right? Chocolate. That was the
Yep.
chuckle.
Yep.
Brilliant. Proof in liquor.
Try to get it.
Whoever she is,
Try to
I
get it
like her
back up.
already. Even if she's again like Jaren, diametrically opposed to how science absolutely, unequivocally, it's its only job, prove things. Right? Doesn't matter. Good sense of humour. There's only proof in liquor. Wonderful. Love it. Okay, I think that's probably the way I'll round out the show. We're going to go through with a bit of help from QE, who's going to potentially critique me along the way in regards to why science proves things. And it's all it does. It is its only objective. It's its only outcome if the methods perform correctly. Okay, so step one, observe something that's occurring, something that happens in nature. That's your phenomena, the thing that we left off with Patrick Gunnels asking Toon, and then a 5 to 10 minute segue about how well science does in these books he's got to recommend. Well, science is aiming to prove things through experimentation. And experimentation is the actualization, i.e. putting into practical effect, a hypothesis. So that is the queen of science, if you will. Experiment's the king, hypothesis is the queen. Right? So that's what we're going to focus on, because that is where you get the empirical nature of science from. So long as you understand that at this stage, nothing's being done, nothing's being validated. We're only writing it down on paper as our supposition. And our supposition is A causes the phenomena we're studying nature. A is my supposition of a cause. Something I think will cause it. Now, contained within the hypothesis, you also have a null. The null is the antithesis of your prediction. So where I think A is going to cause the phenomena I'm studying, the thing that Toon had to segue away from when he said he had an experiment, the null states that A will not cause B. So you have two outcomes in a hypothesis. Outcome one, you vary A, it causes the phenomena to happen. Outcome two, you vary A, nothing happens. Null. Zero difference result. So either you cause the effect or you don't cause the effect. That's a hypothesis. So actualization of a hypothesis is simply you varying A to see if the phenomena happens. Now, if you vary A and the phenomena happens, then you put a tick, that's proven, next to your alternative hypothesis. A causes B. Because you varied A and the phenomena happened. B was caused. So that's a tick. It was validated, proven. It's empirically proven because it happened. Tick. Done. Proof. However, if the zero difference result is confirmed, you put a tick next to that. So you vary A and the phenomena didn't happen. You then tick your null. You have proven your null. So regardless of which is the outcome, that would be A causing the phenomena or A not causing a phenomena, one or other will be proven. Therein lies the empirical method of science, aka the scientific method, the singular scientific method, the method of science. Phenomena, hypothesis, and the stolen valor of experiment used by Toon. Is there any comments before I round out and ask everyone to stay tuned for the after show?
Let's get back to the video.
You want to do a bit more video?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. Because what's happening is the conversation is turning into arguments.
Seriously,
as I thought it would.
just turn my light on, ready to do my outro. Are you kidding?
Well, we can do it in the after show if you want, but we should definitely
Well,
get back.
you
to it.
can-
Is there
Let's
any
ask the
comments
audience.
on it?
I'm appealing
can
to them
finish
as
it
my.
tonight.
I'm appealing to the audience as my justification for asking Jaren to understand science. So I might as well ask them. Why would I ask the live audience if they want me to stay live? Obviously, they're just going to say yes, aren't they?
Watching.
Go on.
127. Keep going.
Normally, I'd appeal for people to get us over 125 viewers. So if we can get to 150 in the next 10 minutes, we'll stay live and cover a lot more of Patrick Gunnels' video. If we don't get to 150 in the next 5 to 10 minutes, then we won't. I'll round out in 5 to 10 minutes. But we will do a little bit more of Patrick Gunnels' video.
Observed phenomena isn't part of the what I did.
Well, great start. So Patrick's answer, 10 minutes later, what's the phenomena? Didn't have one. Then it wasn't an experiment.
Right. So I'm testing, is the Earth flat? And testing, is the Earth spherical? And
Those are what is questions, though, aren't they? As opposed to cause and effect, like you'd use when establishing a phenomena. That's something happening. Why did that happen? It's not a what is question. Stay live, says Unitox Femi with $2 or £2. Thank you, Sasha. We're going to do for a little bit. Share the show more than super chat. If we can get almost 130 people watching, so obviously someone's smashing the share button. Oh damn! I've rewound it.
From all different locations. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Why is that so?
Well, because flat earthers have said that the sun is small and local. So I'm testing their claims. Now, if you don't make that claim about flat Earth, if you don't think that the sun is small and local, then I would be certainly, this would not be a hypothesis that applies to you.
See how he's stuttering? Yeah? When he starts talking about his hypothesis. Bearing in mind, I've just gone through phenomena. He didn't have one of them. Now it's hypothesis. Stammering bitch. Yeah, he's got you over a barrel, hasn't he, again? Yeah, Vlad on Flat Earth, shout out to you, my friend. He says, ah ha ha ha, staying live, staying live. Cheers to all. Really appreciate the super chat. Thank you for your. If you're going to pay me money, I mean, I can't really disagree. 133 watching. Definitely somebody smashing the share button.
Nathan. It was staying live, staying live.
I was just gonna do that. Yeah.
Please don't do that again.
Your position on the shape of the Earth.
My position is that the Earth is not a sphere. So,
okay. So what is your position on the sun's elevation above flat Earth?
I don't have any way of determining the sun's elevation.
Boom.
Wait,
He
so
doesn't know.
His
Go on, Chocolate, go.
basically, so what he just said is, my hypothesis is only a hypothesis based on whatever your position on what the Earth is. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? Wow.
Retard. He's a retard. Blockhead McBugger eater. Look at him. That is a retard. People. There you go.
Shout out to Elvis Kavovic. Says, shout out to Vlad, and despite everything, stay live. Thank you for the super chat, Elvis. It's him basically disseminating his need to stack up whatever Patrick claims in false dichotomy with his globe bullshit. And Patrick has overcome that by going, not claiming anything. Same thing I did with Dell, basically. Exactly the same thing, in fact. Well, I need to stack up what you say in false dichotomy to make what I say seem less stupid. I don't say anything. I haven't got a claim here, like Patrick's just said. What's he going to do now? Well, I need my hypothesis to be based on what you say. Really?
Oh, you could just triangulate. You said you're good at math. Can't you triangulate? Can you solve a triangle, Patrick?
You have to.
Sorry, weren't we just talking about science, experiments, and a hypothesis? Do you need this to be maths? See, it'd be quite useful, as Patrick does, to understand the difference, as Patrick does, so that when some shyster starts lying about having experiments and hypotheses, you can call them out on it, and then they start telling you about doing equations for triangles? That doesn't seem very sciencey there, Toon. Seems like you're very ignorant about what science actually is, given you've just appealed to it twice, and are now asking about maths? Yeah, I think it was Eli earlier that pointed out you're in a category error. No, it's Brian.
You have to be able to measure the distance to it to triangulate it.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
How are you gonna? How are you, gonna?
There's a whole bunch of different variables that.
Wait, was that just a nuh-uh? What part of triangulation does Toon not understand in terms of measuring the distance? You need to know one of the values, right? For those stars, you need at least one.
Could make it. Okay, now just
Go
so
ahead.
no, you explain exactly how you figured out the elevation, the height of the sun.
Yeah, you see that wry smile? I wonder why his wry smile started to slap its way all over Patrick's face when he described the height of the
Holy
star
cow.
as its...
Time to go.
Mighty Mush, can you go on mute, please? Thank you. He described the height as the elevation. That seems like a very carefully phrased question, doesn't it, ladies and gentlemen? I wonder why you're smiling about it.
Okay.
With your so-called experiment, please.
Because, all right, I'm in Minneapolis, 45 degrees north latitude.
You'll need a flat earth for that. So 45 degrees based on elevation angle measurements to Polaris on a flat plane. Flat earth proof from Toon number 1.
On December
27.
Again, go ahead.
Sorry,
Brian.
I was just going to throw in. He's 2,700 nautical miles in a direct horizontal from the GP point of Polaris.
Yeah, what Toon's just described requires a flat earth. That's what he's just described. Just also point out, bearing in mind there's an olive branch dangling out there for Jeranism, that upon Toon's declaration that these latitude lines worked on a globe, Jeran agreed with him. I just want to point that out. It's a flat earth proof. It's a flat earth requirement. It's based on the GP position of Polaris and its declination towards the horizon as you back away from it. Latitude lines. Flat earth proof.
Fifth, the sun goes over what portion of the earth? What line?
Why are you asking him? It's your proof. Need a burden of proof reversal fallacy as well there, do you, Toon? You little shyster? Already tried to stack it up in false dichotomy he hasn't given you. Now you're trying to reverse the burden entirely?
The Tropic of Capricorn.
Okay.
Right?
Question is...
Do you agree with that?
I don't even know. It doesn't...
Good answer. Yeah, why would he need to? He's not making a claim about it, Toon, but he's too smart for you. Yeah? Before he even answered, he doesn't need to, does he? Your claim, Sunshine.
Matter. My question to you is...
What?
He doesn't need to, Toon. It's your claim. Are you going to be exacerbated about the fact that he doesn't know something about your claim you're making? Oh, it just seems like you need to get this back on track to be sacked up in false dichotomy, right? Need to make sure he's making a claim before you move forward. He's already made clear he isn't, Toon. Yeah? This burden of proof reversal fallacy is pathetic.
You don't know. How old are you that you don't know that the sun goes over the Tropic of Capricorn on December 25th to December 21st?
Well,
this is basic information, Patrick.
Okay, hang on a second. I just asked you a very simple question. You don't have to get triggered. Why is it that the sun has to be measured from the same altitude if the Earth is flat?
How many different suns are there, Patrick?
Why does it have to be the same elevation if the Earth is flat?
Because if there's one sun, then that one sun can only occupy one position.
What?
It doesn't.
What is he a retard?
Sorry, if it only occupies one position there, Toon, it doesn't, though, does it? You can track its GP position throughout the day. It moves, even by my own looking at it, it obviously moves. So what is this stupid nonsense as a rebuttal, Toon? Is this the kind of idiot response to say that it doesn't move? Wow.
Elmer Fudd. He's an Elmer Fudd sophist. Look at him. He's retarded. You can see it in his eyes. Look at him.
No, it could be moving.
What? Sorry, very quickly. What Toon is doing... Sorry, I thought you'd stopped it. What Toon is doing, this is an important point, right, for everyone, right? The latitude and longitude grid was what they hijacked to turn into their globe. And then they sent their globe rotating, which means they sent the latitude and longitude grid rotating, and told you and me and everyone that the reason the sun is rising and setting, appearing to rise and set, is because the latitude and longitude grid that they turned into a sphere is rotating. So then the Tropic of Capricorn and the equator, the Tropic of Cancer, right, are then all claimed to be the path of the sun. No, they are lines of latitude that match points in this the GP points from time to time of the sun, but the latitude and longitude grid is not based off the sun. It's based off of Polaris. It's all derived from Polaris, and your position and the position of anything else in relation to the GP point of Polaris. So when they give you a circle or anything on the latitude and longitude grid and say, the sun does this, right? No, that has nothing to do with the sun, right? They're just latitude positions that the sun does appear over at certain times of the year. But after that, you have no idea what the sun is. You don't know if there's more than one sun. And whatever is going on with the sun has no direct relationship on a daily basis with the latitude and longitude grid.
Right on. Excellent.
So that,
excellent description. Just a quick shout out to Lumpy Gas in a Vacuum. He says, Jaren read a script on that Geo. He is controlled up. You don't know that in either event. So thank you for the super chat, Lumpy Gas in a Vacuum. But yeah, you don't know that. Anyway,
I'm sorry. I'm a little lost. What does this have to do with McBooger Eater's experiment?
Doesn't. Shout out to Daniel Samingo, who gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much indeed. All been snapped up immediately, of course. Nothing to answer your question.
What
is moving?
An experiment. Hypothesis actualization. He doesn't have a phenomena, so he's screwed.
Thing. In relation to the surface of the Earth, there's no question that the sun is moving.
No, you said it has to be in the same position. Did you not?
The same elevation.
The same elevation.
Yes.
Why? Why is that necessary for a flat Earth?
Because a object can
is this really your approach? You just act just completely incredulous every time a flat earther asks a question.
Patrick, this is basic stuff.
This is basic.
It's
Why
is it difficult to figure out that the sun must be in only one location at a time?
Okay, one location at a time.
This isn't confusing. People understand that then an object can only occupy one place.
An object can only occupy one place at one time.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not. I don't
accept your claim. Listen, I've asked you multiple times why that must be so, and you just sit there laughing at me.
The reason why it must be so, Patrick, is because an object can only occupy one place.
Okay.
The sun cannot be in multiple places at the same time.
No, it cannot. I agree.
Excellent. So
pause,
please.
So
what's the sun?
Pause, man, pause.
Exactly.
So when you take an angle measurement of the sun at 12 noon and you take an angle measurement of the sun at 3 p.m. and one right as it's setting, you're going to have a different angle each time. What is McToon rambling about?
He doesn't know. He's a retard.
Yeah, McToon is presuming that the sun is a particular thing, an object that does this thing and that thing. He's trying to put that belief onto Patrick for Patrick Gunnels to then supposedly accept it so McToon can make his further argument instead of giving this claimed feet and meters height that he claimed to have of the sun.
I'm sorry.
Assumption bias.
It's incoherent gibberish. What he's saying is the sun's at different elevation points. If I'm in Florida and you're in Colorado, the sun has the same elevation is what McToon is saying. McBooger Eater. That's what he's saying. It's nonsensical gibberish.
So then if we know when I'm in Minneapolis at 45 degrees north latitude and at the middle of the day when the
But you'll need a flat earth for that. We've just gone over this. You need a flat earth for your position that you've just given. It's an elevation angle measurement to Polaris.
sun's at its highest point.
Okay.
The sun
Highest point. So it's changing in height then, obviously.
is at
Snaps his
zenith.
own wig off.
Right? That means the sun is due south of me on the tropic of Capricorn at that moment.
Really dumb too.
Okay. Now, how far am I across the surface of flat Earth from the position directly underneath the sun?
No, I'm not going to sit here and let you just sit here quizzing me about various things. You tell me how on earth that shows that the surface of the Earth is spherical.
All right. No, I didn't do that yet. We're still hypothesizing if the Earth is flat. Right?
we still need to establish Patrick's claim so it can be stacked up in false dichotomy, right, Toon? We're still not there. He's asked you a couple of questions that are pointing about your experiment that you haven't got. He's led you to make the confession that you're not actually doing an experiment. He asked you about the phenomena that you haven't got, and then you segued onto how mathematical you'll be in this regard. So he's absolutely nailing you to the wall, isn't he, Patrick? You've done an excellent job.
Right. So
Yeah,
how,
just a question.
Go on.
In the uncertainty principle, you have to know the location of that particle at every point, right?
Oh, you in respect to the not being in the same place at the same time, right? That slipped me by, John. Do you want to expand on that, just so the audience get what you're talking about?
Well, you can't be certain about both, right? You can either know its speed or you can know its location. Well, McToon's saying, no, that's stupid.
I'm sorry. Isn't in their model the sun never in its actual size, while it's never in its actual location?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So how is he measuring? Like, I know he's not measuring anything, but how is he trying to relate that to Patrick in relation to a flat? Like, I'm confused by this moron.
Well, let me break it down for you.
What-
Let me break it down. What Toon needs to do, because he hasn't got a claim here, as we're just pointing out, is get Patrick to make the claim so he can debunk that and move on to a different subject. That's what he needs. That's what he's attempting.
Sounds like the horizon.
So just tactics.
What's
then.
going on?
Well,
Sorry,
we'll
Doc,
have a bit
okay.
more video, then we'll hear your synopsis after, Brian.
the way that we know the distance is because celestial navigation has used this very simple number for centuries.
Celestial navigation requires Earth be flat also, measuring elevation angles.
60 degrees.
That's a measurement of a flat plane.
60 nautical miles per
Both measurements of flat planes.
degree latitude.
Flat plane measurement. So elevation angle measurement to Polaris. Toon's repeatedly proving a flat Earth
So I'm at 45 degrees
Well-
north latitude, and the
on a flat Earth. Good.
Yeah, what he's doing is about 40 sentences ago, he was asked to give his height that he claimed to have of the sun, to go through and give the full details from A through to Z of what height the sun is and how he got that height. Now, he's done everything but that. He's tried to do everything, reverse it back onto Patrick, trying to get Patrick, do you agree to this? Do you agree to that? So then at the end, he says, so you don't disagree to it. You know what I mean? You don't disagree when I say the sun is X height. You know, that's what it is. No, you either give it to me or shut up. You know, one of the other.
Yeah, it's just
Well, he's
globe
trying to-
tactics right now. Sorry, John.
He's trying the same trick he did on Jaren, where Jaren said that's just how it works on a sphere. That's what he needs Patrick to say to move forward.
Pause for a minute. I want to go back and forth with Brian here. Brian,
Before you do,
in a circle.
Just before you do,
there-
shout out to Unitox Femi, who says, both they are speaking about sun, not surface. Ah. Yeah, so Unitox Femi is pointing out that to a degree, Toon's actually been successful. Good super chat. Thank you for the super chats. Go ahead. 10th man.
Yeah. So on a circle, you got 360 degrees. The Babylonians used it, Sumerians, and this is where you get the 360-degree compass, surface, so forth. So, Brian, tell us the reason why every degree has to be 60 nautical miles, but it's in relationship to what statute miles are on land, and how it cannot be anything else but 60 nautical miles, because 60 times 60 is 360. It always has to be that, but it's in relationship to what a statute mile is.
Yeah, a statute miles are horizontally measured. So 69 statute miles per degree, but there's 60 nautical miles per degree because there's 60 minutes of degree. Each one of those minutes are translated from what's known as the co-altitude, when you're taking an elevation angle to a celestial body, down as a horizontal measurement of perspective, because there's use of perspective along the surface of Earth. And the only way for them to be translated into statute miles is for it to always be horizontal.
So,
There's no way
Brian,
to do it. Go on.
So let me throw a wrench into this. What if a statute mile was 120 miles? Would it still be 60 nautical? Would a degree still be 60?
No, it can't. A degree would still be 16 nautical miles. There'll be still 16 nautical miles per degree. That will always be the case because always only 60 minutes per degree.
Right. So if the statute mile is, I mean, I'm making a major error here by saying it's, say, 125 miles, it'll still convert to 60 nautical miles because you're using degrees.
Yeah, I mean, see, the problem is that we have our opposition to put this into orthographic view all the time and try and show how orthographically it doesn't work, but they're keeping the celestial body at an equal height. Whereas this is a measurement based off of a perspective drop, right? An angular drop, a apparent drop or rise of a celestial body. So you must add that in. So when they keep that out and show you the side of your own head measuring it, they try and claim it doesn't work. Whereas it works perfectly if you allow the celestial body to do what you observe it doing, right, with your measurements as per distance with a sextant in a perspective view. It works perfect.
In conclusion,
because it can't work any other way.
In conclusion, what I'm trying to say here is that no matter what the statute mile is, you can never change a circle from being less or more than 360. So you're always bound to say 60 nautical miles, no matter what the statute miles is.
You're always bound. Yeah, there's no way around it.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, now we're into celestial navigation. I was waiting for the hypothesis and then McBooger Eater's experiment.
Exactly. That's what this do-si-do is all about. This is the MO of most anti-flat earthers. Once they're getting cornered, the easiest out isn't to defend your position that you failed on. It's to take the opponent on a little dance around the Wrekin so that you never get back to that point. That'll probably never come back up. And no offence to Patrick, it is his failure in this regard, unfortunately, unless he gets him back on track in the next 2 minutes. It was the first critique of the show ever, and it was by Sleeping Warrior. It's like, what we need is each point to be kept on track, so it isn't addressed 50 minutes later where it's less impactful for the person conceding. Because if Toon later concedes that he has no experiment and that his hypothesis is not even a valid one, but in an hour's time, under his breath during a different discussion, he's not a shyster. He's made the confession, right? But it hasn't got the impact that it would have had at the end of this discussion. Instead, we're into what's his recommendation on science books and asking Patrick what his distance to the sun is. Like, who cares? You've got all of these factors involved in your Aristophanes claim of an experiment that you haven't got without a phenomena. But yet we're segueing so far away from it that the audience will not keep track of what's been won.
Sun is at 23.4 degrees south latitude. I am 45 plus 23.4 degrees away from the sun. Multiply that by 60 nautical miles, and that's how far I am away from the GP of the sun. The GP would be the point on the Earth directly below the sun.
Okay. So the distance to the sun, you mean the distance to the GP of the sun, not the distance to the sun itself.
Yeah, but that gives us one P. It's a
yes. So not distance to sun, but in fact, distance to position on a flat Earth below sun, with angle along flat ground to that position. Okay. So where Toon, the lying shyster, tells you he's got a distance to sun measurement that he can extrapolate out shadows and R values from, no, he hasn't. He's just a lying shyster with a globe belief. Excellent work, Patrick.
Triangle, you need three things to solve a triangle.
To get a triangle, you need Earth to be flat. One of them is going to be the baseline, Toon.
Unless it's a special case, right?
Unless it's a spherical case, and then it won't be a triangle anymore.
So we have that distance.
Along a flat baseline for your triangle. That's a flat Earth proof. It's about 4 or 5 times Toon's proven a flat Earth so far. Someone want to add something?
And I measured the angle to it. And then the other angle is 90 degrees. So we have angle, side angle. So if you
90 degrees below the sun, that means Earth's flat. 90 degrees to your position means Earth's flat. Simple.
I'll add.
Go on.
if you just, not that I want you to, because anyone could go rewind it themselves. So the false dichotomy came into play. He wants Patrick to prove his point. Now he's admitting that his test, which he had two, one was over a curved earth, one was over a flat plane, but you couldn't have it work on a flat plane. Now he just admitted that he was at 27 or something, but the sun or star in question is 90 degrees over the earth somewhere. So a right angle triangle between the GP and him. He just destroyed himself right there. He just destroyed himself right there.
Yep.
If you have angle, side, angle, can you solve the triangle?
Yes. Angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle.
Yep.
Yeah, you can.
Yep. So doing that from Minneapolis at 45 degrees north latitude, I'm at 7,619 kilometers. This is science, so we do it in kilometers. And the sun elevation over flat Earth, assuming flat Earth, in this hypothesizing flat Earth, 3,162 kilometers.
Okay.
Now, my friend Muriel was in the.
What is this? This is science. So we use kilometers.
We're still live, right? And just 1 second, just before you and 10th get into it, QE, can you make this discussion at least 2 or 3 minutes long so I can get a drink? Because we've been alive a lot longer than I normally anticipate, which means I've got a dry mouth and I need something to drink. I normally wouldn't mention that, but if you can keep chatting for a little bit, that'd be great. I'd normally slope off in the after show without mentioning it, but because we are actually live, I do have to make a point of making sure you don't leave dead air.
Gotcha.
There won't be dead air.
Go. There won't be dead air. Just stop talking and go. All right, QE. What does it mean in science we have to use kilometers? What like kilometers can't be used in anything else?
Sorry, my mouth is full of egg sandwich, man. Could you continue without me for a minute?
Brian, take over, Brian.
Yeah, Ken, what's going on here, right? Not that I need to tell you, but I just address it to you. What's going on here is Toon is asked, this is what they're always at. He's asked Patrick for a concession on how you solve a triangle. Patrick had to just be honest and say, yeah, that's how you solve a triangle. And now Toon is trying to use that solving of a right-angled triangle to debunk how celestial navigation could be using right-angled triangles on a flat plane, while also hijacking the 60 nautical miles per degree and trying to claim that's an arc measurement of a globe that's coming from the center of his globe that had to start on a flat surface. So that's what's going on here. It's not that usual straw man. And Patrick has been very good. I would have stopped him before that. But Patrick has been very good. I can't critique him like.
No, Patrick is, as you find out, Patrick did well. It's just that he missed certain points where we would just stop it like Nathan was doing it. But that's not Patrick's style, which I said in the pre-show. And the other thing is it just shows how rude and condescending McToon gets towards the end of this. And that's what Patrick ends up saying in the epilogue as he finishes the show is, man, he was so nice to Jaron. And then I said, well, yeah, I'll talk to him. I'll have him on. And then he was a total, and then he called him what he thought he was. So anyway, Toon is contradicting himself because if the sun is 90 degrees over Earth, and that's the GP at 90, and you're in Minneapolis and you got a 45-degree angle to it, well, guess what? As you move towards it, guess what? It's 46, 47, all the way until you get under it is 90. And what was your point again to Patrick?
You talking to me?
No. I mean, his point was on a flat Earth, you have one sun, and it's one guy's got a 45-degree. I'll use the numbers you just gave, 45-degree angle to it, and then the other guy's where the sun is directly overhead, and it's 90. He says that couldn't work on a flat Earth. That's what he was trying to say.
Yeah, that's the thing, you see. But see, what Toon is after doing, he says after getting Patrick to admit, because Patrick's just being honest, because it's an honest answer to a dishonest question, because Toon got him to Patrick to agree, yeah, that's how you solve for a right-angled triangle. And this is after Toon had hijacked the latitude and longitude grid and the 60 nautical miles per degree, because this is what he's trying to, this is what they have to do, right? But when they're doing parallax, right, what did they do? They're using a horizontal plane as a chord line, right, through their globe, and they're using a feet and miles distance using triangles, right?
Yeah.
But so they ignore celestial navigation when they're doing parallax measurements to their celestial bodies, right? But when it comes to us using celestial navigation, they're trying to label us as using the same method they're using for parallax, basically, then trying to show how it's mathematically wrong after they've hijacked the latitude and longitude grid and 60 nautical miles per degree.
Well, we know
This is what they're doing.
But we know in air
All
and
the
sea
time.
navigation. We know in air and sea navigation, it's nautical miles. We know on land, it's statute miles. And then now he says in science, we use kilometers. Well, you make up your mind.
Which is just kilometers and nothing to do with science. Kilometers are measured.
I know, but he tied it to science. That's why I want QE to.
He keeps
repeatedly. Red herring.
He keeps
You want me to
repeatedly.
comment?
He's trying to steal the
You
valor
want
of
me to
science.
comment?
My bad. He's trying to steal
Are
the
you
valor of.
trying?
Oh, brother. You can't just jet back into the conversation, Nathan,
On my
even
own
though it's your
show.
show.
Tell him, QE, tell him.
For real, for real.
Just come right in like nobody's talking just because it's your show.
Okay, he needs to repeatedly steal the valor of science and reaffirm with his
Yes.
audience that he's talking about science when he's not. That's all he's doing.
Yes.
Flapping, basically.
I'm confused how he's getting any flat Earth measurements at all when they have this spherical surface to work with.
That's a
Oh,
good
wait.
question, Chocolate.
They don't, and that was maybe the critique that we got before the show. So D Rose was saying D Rose's critique of Patrick specifically was to say when it comes to things like this, elevation angles, why didn't he welcome him to flat Earth every time he made these claims? Now, at that point, I hadn't heard this particular part of it. So yeah, as much as I hate to critique Patrick, that would have been a point when I was interjecting, saying welcome to flat Earth. You'll need a flat Earth for that. Patrick's way of doing things is different to ours at this point. Yeah, that's a valid criticism from D Rose, unfortunately. Unfortunately for Patrick. Minor though it is, considering the pummeling that Toon's taking.
And mind you, it's only the only reason why I say things like that because even though I'm on the panel, I still look at myself as that semi-normie guy that knows more than the other normies, but I've learned from you guys on how to properly do that, how to nip it in the bud, so to speak, if you will. And that's why I recognize those things. If I never came upon you guys, I would think that he's doing a fantastic job, like all of the normies that watch these videos that never saw your show.
Is McBooger Eater somehow trying to say that you can get the height of the sun, stars, anything with elevation angles? If that's what he's doing, I'd like to, McBooger Eater, McBlockhead, I want you to give us the distance to Polaris using triangulation. I would like to see him do that.
Measured the same thing from Israel. He's at 31.35 degrees. He is 6,099 kilometers from the Tropic of Capricorn. The angle to the sun for him, so the angle to the sun for me was 22.5. Angle for him was 36.2.
Ball game over.
Solving that triangle, he gets 4,468 kilometers elevation.
Don't you have a diagram of this that you wanted to show? That would probably really help my audience see what you're showing.
Yeah, I can.
What's solving what triangle? What the hell does that even mean? Let's see you solve that triangle. Let's see if he does it. What a clown.
Kiwi, before he goes into the triangle for the actual height of the sun, which has nothing to do with celestial navigation, they've been saying it's not triangles. Now all of a sudden it's triangles.
No.
he didn't talk
Hold
more
on, sorry, I
about
need to clarify that. It wasn't actually a they. It was actually just Toon that both said it doesn't use triangles and it is triangles. It's just Toon. It's not a they. It's one man who said both.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Sensible says it's trilateration, not triangulation. And it's like, I've never seen the sextant with a receiver on it that gets a signal from anything.
Trilateration also
Yeah,
needs a
but
flat
it's
Earth.
more subtle.
Hold on. Let me get this straight. You're saying Mr. Sensible is also claiming a different flat Earth proof in lieu of triangulation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
He's
that's
saying-
the trick.
Go on, John.
I didn't hear the answer. what I'm hearing is Mr. Sensible has said, no, your flat Earth elevation angles off a flat baseline can be replaced by these other flat baselines in trilateration. That's what I'm hearing. Am I correct or not?
Yes, because you got
Really?
satellite sending a signal, and it's for distances. It doesn't use angles, and so it needs a flat baseline for that thing to ping back off of.
Right. Substituting in another flat Earth.
That's the trick.
Go ahead, John.
It's more thought than what's going on.
That's the trick. Well, that's the trick. You hold up two flat Earth proofs in false dichotomy, and you claim one as a globe proof. That's all they do all the time.
You've said that a few times.
Celestial navigation.
You've said that a few times, and it's never really, the penny hasn't really dropped what you mean. Now, for the first time, probably 6 months of you saying it, the penny has finally dropped. I'm just going to explain what I mean by that in a minute after shouting out Retro Bill. Quick, QE and Nathan, I'm lost. What do I do? Quick, get the height of the star immediately. That's what we need. We're lost.
Wait a second. Maybe somebody on board already knows the height.
Does anybody already know the height of these stars? Quick, ask everybody on board. Lives are at stake. Thanks.
182.
Check the Oakley map.
Let me just get back to John's point because it's more important than the very amusing super chat from Retro Bill, which is on topic, but nevertheless not so pertinent as John's point. Right. John has said multiple times in the past that what they do, this is anti-flat earthers, or unbeknownst to globe believers, they might do this also, is hold up a flat earth proof and then hold up a different flat earth proof that they ascribe to you and will, later down the line, say is wrong and show, according to them, how it's wrong. So that then they can hold up their actual flat earth proof that they have commandeered to be a globe proof. Right, John? Go ahead, fill in the gaps.
Yeah. Yes. So he's holding up celestial navigation as if it's somehow a proof that the Earth's spherical when it's not. It requires angles off a flat plane. Just like the triangulation that he's trying to force on his opponent requires angles off a flat plane. The only conclusion is it requires that it's a flat plane, but he's not going to do that. He's going to say that celestial navigation requires Earth to be a sphere.
Right.
Which is ridiculous.
Right. In other words, there is a trick to that as well. I mean, the angles that are measured through your sextant of the star. So you've got your baseline to the horizon, the GP, which is going to be at 90 as described by Toon, below the star, and then a straight flat baseline back to your position. That's your triangle, right? In triangulation or celestial navigation. Okay. So what Toon will do is say that, no, you didn't actually, he won't say this, but I'm saying it for him. You don't actually measure the arc of the tool that you're holding while standing on the flat plane that you're measuring. That arc is actually Earth's surface. And the arc runs through a baseline from hell that we call the equatorial plane. At the centre of Earth, the angles, like in Aristophanes' example, going to the centre of Earth, that's where this actually takes place at. So the arc of the tool you're measuring angles to the star isn't really an arc at all. It's a spherical Earth. Not merely your perspective view and the angles thereof through a tool. That's the tool being the surface and you standing in hell at the molten iron core and rotating the globe around you. You understand? That's what they have to do. Now, so long as, without saying it, that slips by someone like Jaren, he can ascribe latitude positions to a globe. You can say these flat Earth elevation angle measurements to Polaris are actually the angle of the tool now replaced by the globe as a sphere, with you at the centre of it. You rotate the globe around because that's how the world works. No, it doesn't. That's the perspective you get of the dome of the heavens. Not a dome for anybody who's out there saying, oh, Nathan said, no, the perspective you are represented with represents itself from 0 to 180 degrees with 90 at your zenith. That's the dome of your vision. Perspective, in other words. And that's what you measure when you measure these stars. They're not coming to the centre of Earth. But every time you see a globe diagram, you'll see angles moving to the centre of Earth. Because that's the only way they can take the angle that you measure with the tool and make it into the globe. Put you at the centre of it and rotate the globe instead of measure the angle through the tool. That's the trick.
What Toon is doing, Nathan, now what you just said is 100% correct. But what John said is what I was trying to convey earlier. And I've also tried to convey it in the past, but John conveyed it very, very well now. Is that what Toon has just done is Patrick asked him for the height of the sun, right? According to him, according to Toon. Because this was his claim, right? That he could measure the height of the sun, which would be a distance to it. Now that would be in a feet, meters, inches, miles, right? Denomination, let's just say, right? Now, what Toon has done is because he wouldn't, he red herringed away from that and tried to give Patrick some kind of a straw man feet and height and meter in inches, meters, and feet to Patrick's son that Patrick never claimed, and now Toon is going to try and claim celestial navigation, which doesn't hijack celestial navigation, which doesn't claim a height to the celestial bodies, and then claim victory when he didn't give the initial thing that Patrick asked him for. He's actually going to not give it by going straight to celestial navigation because they don't claim it. So he tried to do the very thing he's supposed to do.
I just thought you wanted to share your screen, Mike.
No, I had something else. And you got on this. We got on this. This isn't the thing that I had planned. But there, I mean, right there. There's a triangle, right? So we got Minnesota. And we've got the distance of 7918, 761. Hold on. 7619.
Oh,
okay. Can you do me a favor and put that triangle back up there again?
Yeah,
Just
give me a second.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So what is the right angle? It's the right angle is one, and then you have the hypotenuse there. What is at the top of the vertical leg of that triangle? What's that demarcation point? So this is this a okay, that's the sun. Great. And then at the right angle itself, where is that?
That's at the Tropic of Capricorn.
Okay. So when you say the sun, do you mean the geographic the point on the Earth where the sun is directly over, or do you mean the sun itself?
Is the GP right here? GP of the sun is the Tropic of Capricorn.
Okay.
So, according to Toon and his diagram, the GP, that's ground position of the sun, is at a right angle to the measured position. This is a triangle as defined by Toon. This is only possible if Earth is flat. If this line was curving away at 8 inches per the mile squared, then it would not be a triangle. Earth must be flat to do what Toon has diagrammed here. Earth is flat.
And then
local solar noon and
navigation.
Pardon?
That's not celestial navigation, though. He's trying to claim that terrestrial angular size applies to the celestial objects, which we all know it doesn't. We don't measure height that way with them, but we still use a flat plane. So that's the okie doke.
Exactly.
He's already train wrecked himself, but where's he going with this? Put him back up.
Find out.
Please keep playing. What the hell?
Minnesota.
okay, and then the line and they're there. So you're taking an angle measurement, and that line is straight.
This line here?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
And then
And
from
on flat Earth, this is straight.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, this is straight.
oh,
So
okay.
On flat, this is straight. No, it's a triangle. They're all straight lines.
So in the diagram that you're using, Toon, it's straight. And according to you, on a flat Earth, it's straight. So in conclusion, the only problem this poses is if Earth's curving then. Because Earth's flat and the triangle's flat, and you're using this as an example. So Earth is flat then. That's right, it is. You wouldn't be able to get this angle if Earth was curving away from you. It wouldn't
Rewind
be a
that
triangle.
like 10 seconds. Sorry,
I
Nathan.
don't
Can
know
you
if a camera
rewind
doesn't
that
work the
again?
same on Rumble. Sorry. We're going to have to plod on.
Well, any right triangle has to have all three sides being flat. They have to be straight.
Yeah. So correct. This is the flat Earth.
So correct. This is you stuttering bitch. You've got a flat earth proof in your hands, Toon. Yeah, that's right. That's why you're stuttering. Because you know damn well that's what this proves, don't you, Toon? This right angle, yeah, to your position on the ground position, this right angle proves Earth is flat, Toon. You stammering buffoon.
Hypothesis.
Okay.
Right.
So,
So when we solve this triangle, right?
Mhm.
I'm not going to grill you on doing the trigonometry right now, right? I already did it. It's
What the press?
3-1.
Look, what he's doing,
Six.
what he's doing here, Key, and you missed it at the beginning,
All right.
is he said he did two tests. One was Earth's flat, and now he's showing that with the triangle, and he's going to do for the height of the sun or the star on the summer solstice. And then he did another one where it's the Eratosthenes one, where that's the one proves a sphere. So he's holding in false dichotomy here, but he's got to use triangles in both.
Now, what he's doing here is he said he's after just telling Patrick, this is what I've been trying to say. Nathan, please stop playing the video at my crescendos. This is what I've been trying to say. This is what you missed at the end. He's just handing Patrick.
All in kilometers there. So there.
Will you stop it?
I'm sorry.
He's after just handing Patrick a feet and meters height to a sun that Patrick never claimed. I've done the trigonometry for you. I'm sure you have. There you go.
Can I interrupt?
You can, but yes. Firstly, sorry, Brian. Yes, I realised twice that I did interrupt. You took a pause for breath, and like when the Fundies interrupt me, I took it as you opening up for me to start the video again. So I do apologise. It wasn't intentional the first two times. Go ahead, Adam.
There's a fundamental problem here, and this is born out of Adam's failure. I've put a picture in Master B. The ballers are claiming triangles. There are no triangles. There are parallel lines that never intersect, or their GP and their alignment to the star. So, irrespective of the nature of the baseline, okay, when we've got the GP line to the star and the elevation angle from the observer to the star, those two lines in their model are parallel, as shown in the picture in Master B. There is no triangle for them to invoke. Their lines are parallel. They never meet. So within their mathematics, there is not a point of intersection. Those two, the GP line and the elevation angle should meet at a vertex, yeah, to give you that angle, but they don't in the mathematics that they use. There is no triangle to invoke when you do this on a ball.
That's right, Adam. There's no zenith from the GP to the celestial body within their claims. They turn that into that GP point is turned in, that line is turned into neither that goes to the center of their globe at the same angle as they've just supposedly measured off a surface of a globe.
Well, all
Two
their
parallel lines.
all their measurements are derived from flat planes, and what they do with it then is dress it up so that you can think of it as spherical. But every time the flat Earth does reveal itself within it.
No, when they create their tangents and put it on a ball, the consequent of doing so, sorry, a bloody tractor's just passing me. When they put these flat Earth elevation angles that have taken off of a flat plane and they place them onto the surface of their sphere, the net effect is to prohibit the lines ever converging to create an angle at the point where the star is.
Well, that's just stupid.
I know, but it is a consequence of taking flat Earth elevation angles, plotting them onto a ball and creating tangents. The net result is the only place is in hell that you can align the two things. But
you can't.
but actually at the star, there is no convergence of the two lines, the GP
then
line
it's
and the
not a
elevation.
triangle. Well, then it's not a triangle then.
Correct.
That's his
It is
point.
not a triangle.
That was the point he was making.
Their
That was Adam's
model.
point. Then it's not a triangle.
Okay.
Right, yes, that's Adam's
Okay,
point.
good.
Not only is
Let's
it
move
Adam's
on. Let's
point,
see what he does next.
QE,
Oh, God.
not only is it Adam's point, it was Brian's point a couple of weeks ago, and nobody even picked up on it.
Owen whispered it to me weeks before.
A year and a half ago. Adam is on.
Stop interrupting my crescendo.
Any more crescendos?
He's retarded.
Yeah, I had something to say. I have
Okay,
something to say.
QE, then
What-
Brian. Let's get some order. QE,
Yeah.
then Brian. Go ahead, QE.
Okay. McBlockhead McBooger Eater is a stone cold retard. I don't even know why we're even discussing this anymore. I want to see what he puts on, what number he puts on the opposite side. Did he put something over there? On that triangle, on the opposite side of the triangle? What is that? He snuck something in there. I'm looking at it on YouTube. It's, what is that? 3163 what? Cookies. Where'd you get that from, McBooger Eater? What a look at this clown. This is very interesting right here. Maybe he'll tell us. Maybe it's his hypothesis.
He already did. He said he did the trigonometry for Patrick.
It's his.
It's a straw man.
It's his straw man false dichotomy stacked up in advance
Yes.
of him making the claim. Patrick's told him he doesn't make this claim, but he's still doing it. He can't. He's such a moron. He can't adapt to the situation. He's still got to go through the motions, a bit like Chaiki, but just a bit less obvious, right? No, you don't have this false dichotomy. No, he's not claiming this height. But what, you're going to put it in front of him anyway and tell him that's how high the flat Earth sun is when you've yourself declared that it changes in elevation, Toon? Yeah, this strawman false dichotomy is absolute garbage, isn't it, Brian?
He's a retard.
You nailed it there, because the whole thing he's doing is he's saying what Patrick has never said, local sun with height known of 31 whatever. Patrick never said that.
Well, see, the thing is, what he's doing now is terrestrial, right? You can do this with a lighthouse. You can do this with objects on the ground.
On a flat Earth.
Yes, on a flat Earth. You need a flat Earth. So it's a flat Earth proof for terrestrial objects. We're not talking about terrestrial objects. We're talking about celestial, which you need an angle, an elevation angle for those to figure out distance along the flat Earth.
Absolutely correct. However, QE's point does override that on a flat Earth also. It's a bit like the trilateration. Figuring out the heights of a lighthouse along a flat baseline. Like you say, John, they're just going to hold up two flat Earth proofs, say that your version in this case of a flat Earth height measurement that he's not claiming and has made that explicitly clear isn't right, so that he can hold up his version of celestial navigation on a flat Earth as being for the globe when he puts that protractor in the middle of Earth. It's
You
a joke,
remember
isn't it?
when? You remember when Adam showed Al Baruni doing the same thing with the mountain?
Right.
Same thing.
Yeah, differential calculation between eye level and surface level, which is flat.
What they're doing is they're denying they're denying triangulation is used in celestial navigation, and trying to hand us trigonometry, whereas nobody's claiming trigonometry for the right-angled triangles in celestial navigation.
And if we were, it would still require a flat Earth anyway. But with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you. Smash the super chat, gifted memberships, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, hit me up on PayPal and all that good stuff. And of course, a massive thank you to today's Discord and Jeepers panels for making today's live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on an after show, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!